Over the years, I've certainly heard my fair share of myths about Dungeons and Dragons. GameMasters here, and today I've got the top 5 myths that I still see going around, and we're going to debunk them. Let's go. Myth 1. You have to have all the rule books in order to play. This is simply not true. In fact, you don't even need any of the rule books to play. I'd even go so far as to wager to say that you don't even need dice to play. Yes, you're going to need a way to randomly generate numbers, but that can be as simple as flipping 2 coins for a D4, 3 coins for a D6, even 10 coins for a D20. Just attribute 1 for heads and 2 for tails. Of course, dice do make it a little easier. As for the rule books, you don't really need them. Role-playing is, after all, mostly about telling a story. The dice or coins are there to determine the randomality of events and circumstances. But at the most fundamental core, you're there to tell a story. Given, if you want to delve into the extreme complexity of the game, the rulebooks can be advantageous, but even then, the core rules of Dungeons & Dragons are free. Even the most recent 2024 version can be grabbed for free from D&D Beyond. But again, needing the rulebooks in order to play, that's just a myth. Myth 2. D&D requires a bunch of math. Okay, I've heard the argument that in D&D, all you do is constantly roll dice, add numbers, and solve for angles, and that it's basically just grade school homework. Now, the reality is, yes, numbers are involved, but come on, you're adding little pips together from the face of the dice, or from coins if you're trying to bust myth number 1, and that's hardly an extreme amount of math. When you get to be my age, you'll get more exhausted trying to count the gray hairs in your beard. D&D is mostly storytelling and being creative. The DM handles most of the math, and again, it's mostly just adding things together. Plus, there are a bunch of options out there that can auto-add rolls together when you get into certain epic levels of damage, where you're dealing like dozens of dice to roll for damage. Just keep in mind that some of the best moments in D&D come from wild decisions, not perfect math. And then you've got myth number 3, that only clerics can heal. Now, this one is laughable right out of the gate. Almost every single class can heal. Bards, druids, paladins, and rangers can all cast Cure Wounds, and that's at first level. Sorcerers and wizards can cast False Life at level 1, which can grant to them 2d4 plus 4 points, hit points. Admittingly, they're temporary hit points, but still. Warlocks at level 1 can cast Armor of Agathis, which gives them 5 temporary hit points, plus if you make a Celestial Warlock, they too get Cure Wounds, albeit at level 3. Even traditional non-casters have the ability to heal. Barbarians, for example, their subclass, Path of the World Tree, is full of self-healing. At level 3, they get Vitality Surge that gives them a number of temporary hit points equal to their level, as well as Life-Giving Force that can give another creature temporary hit points. Fighters get Second Wind at level 1, which as a bonus action you can regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level. Monks, taking the Warrior of Mercy subclass, at level 3 you get Hand of Healing that lets you restore a number of hit points equal to your roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. And the Artificer, I didn't forget about that one. They at level 1 they get Cure Wounds, plus they can create an experimental elixir that has a chance of healing I think it's 2d8, and should you be playing an Artificer from 3.5 edition of the game, they get an ability called Repair Damage, albeit it's to a construct and not directly to themselves, but there are some sneaky ways around that. Now, this doesn't even go into the fact that you've got stuff like healing potions or potions of healing or rings of regeneration. There's even staves of healing. Of course, even a short rest and a long rest can replenish hit points as well. Now, a cleric being the only thing that can cast heal, that's certainly just a myth that I think we've just busted. Myth 4. Dungeons & Dragons is limited to being in a medieval fantasy world. Oh boy, I'm not sure where to begin on this one. D&D can encompass a myriad of different settings, environments, and worlds. Horror is a very natural fit, especially if you make use of Ravenloft or Far Realm material. Spelljammer is science fiction. It's D&D in space. You've got killer clowns, even monsters akin to the movie Alien, which gives you a great sci-fi/horror crossover. If you want an environment that is less dependent on magic, check out the old school setting Birthright. While magic does exist there, it was more of a tactical wargaming setting where you commanded vast armies. Dungeons and Dragons can even be homebrewed and adapted to take on almost any other setting you can think of. Eberron, for example, is on the cusp of being a kind of fantasy steampunk setting. With a little extra homebrewing, you could easily adapt it over to being a full-on cyberpunk setting. Just advance the setting several thousand years. You've got, if you wanted to play an all-Western setting, D&D allows for that. You want to play in a Mad Max environment? Nothing says that you can't. Want to have advanced laser guns and lightsabers? Interstellar traveling ships? There are rule supplements out there for that too, given some of those are from third-party creators. But if you can imagine it, you can make it happen in D&D. Myth 5. If you are the dungeon master, you gotta memorize everything. Well, no. If you're the good DM, you gotta at least know where to find everything. But honestly, the best DMs out there improvise. They make stuff up as they go along, but they use notes. And guess what? They even ask the players for help when it's needed. I am a big fan of the rule of cool, and to me that matters more than exactly how far a Harrigan can hop when someone casts a jump spell on it. I'm not looking to nickel and dime the movement economy, but I at least do know where to go to figure out the distance, and by looking it up enough times, it will eventually get ingrained into the DM's memory. But to be honest, I've never even had a player in any of my groups even play as a Harengon, so for me and my table, that's a rule that can stay in the books until I need it. But I do know where to at least go to find it if I do need it. As a dungeon master, you don't have to know every chart or every table out there. If you need it, there are various DM screens available. Some even specialize in specific settings. There's a screen for wilderness. There's a screen for that is specific to Icewind Dales. There's a screen that's specific to just dungeons. Well, you get the idea. You can even customize your own screens. Me personally, I don't like using DM screens, but that option is there. A DM doesn't have to even memorize every piece of setting material or class ability or subclass for that matter. Players may expect a DM to know all this stuff, and over time, by simply playing, you're going to pick a lot of those rules up, as well as the setting information, and just by reading it and immersing yourself in it and using it, it's going to stick. But no, it's 100% fabricated a myth that a DM must memorize everything. I will concede that it's important to at least know where to find the information that you need. I need to thank everyone for watching, and I especially need to thank my channel supporters. My YouTube members and Patreon supporters that contribute to the channel have gone above and beyond, and I cannot thank them enough. Their support means that I don't have to take on sponsored ads, and come on, we kind of all skip all those anyway, right? Yeah. Today's video came direct from a suggestion from one of my Patreon members, and if you would like to help decide the direction and the future of this channel, I'll leave links down in the description and down below this little talking box right here underneath me. Myths can make Dungeons and Dragons seem daunting, but once you dig under the skin of that myth, many of them can easily be debunked. D&D really is a simple game at its core and is meant to be full of imagination, which is where some of these myths stem from, as one person's imagination is going to be an entire world of complexity when compared to someone else's. But at the end of the day, it really all boils down to everyone having fun. Now, I just mentioned that I'm not a fan of using DM screens, and if you'd like to know why, I'll take a look at this video next. What are some other D&D myths that you have heard and have been able to debunk? Let me know down in the comments, and until next our paths cross, may you Go out and bust some myths. Bust some myths. That's what I'm trying to say.